I'm 22 years old, and some days it feels like the weight of the world sits squarely on my chest. People think that when you're young, life is supposed to be easy, dreams ahead, freedom, choices. But for me, those choices felt like cages. Every morning, I woke up with a knot in my stomach. Fear wasn't just a passing thought, it lived inside me. Fear of failing, fear of never being enough, fear of speaking too loudly, of taking up space, of making mistakes that would brand me forever. Most people couldn't see it. I smiled when they expected me to smile. I laughed when the timing felt right. But inside, I was drowning. The only place I ever felt safe was a small, almost forgotten library at the edge of town. It wasn't grand. The paint was peeling, the shelves were uneven, and the light bulbs hummed like they were on the verge of burning out. But the moment I pushed open those heavy wooden doors, the noise of the world faded. The library smelled like old paper and dust. To me, it smelled like comfort, like a place where time slowed down just enough for me to breathe. I used to sit in the far corner, by a window that overlooked the street. People would pass by without ever knowing I was there, hiding among words and stories that didn't belong to me. And yet, in some way, they saved me. Books became my refuge. Characters braver than me fought battles I could only dream of winning. Their courage whispered through the pages, telling me that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't as weak as I thought. One evening, when the winter sky pressed dark against the windows, I noticed something different. A letter tucked between the pages of an old poetry book. The paper was yellowed, the ink fading, but the words still burned with life. It was a confession. Someone, decades ago, had written about their own fears, about feeling trapped, about longing to be free but not knowing how. I read that letter again and again. My heart raced with recognition. Whoever wrote it, they understood me, even though we'd never met. Their words reached across time and told me something no one else ever had. You are not alone. From that day, I began to write. Not because I was brave enough to share my story with the world, but because I needed to speak, even if only to myself. I filled notebook after notebook in the quiet corners of that library. Pages of fear, pain, longing, but also hope. Sometimes the words spilled out messy and jagged, sometimes soft and fragile. But they were mine. They belonged to me. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, I began to change. The library didn't erase my fears, but it gave me a place to face them. Surrounded by stories of others who had suffered, fought, and survived, I realized that fear didn't mean I was broken. It only meant I was human. One night, as I sat writing by the dim lamp, the librarian, an older woman with kind eyes, approached me. She placed a cup of tea on the table and said nothing at first. Then, gently, she whispered, "You don't have to hide here forever. But until you're ready, this place will hold you." Her words sank deeper than she could have known. The library wasn't just a building filled with books. It was a sanctuary, a place where broken pieces of people could rest until they were ready to stand again. I don't know if I'll ever be fearless. Maybe fear will always follow me like a shadow. But I've learned something important. Shadows only exist where there's light. The library gave me that light. It reminded me that even in my darkest hours, there is a place inside me where stories live, where courage sleeps, waiting to wake. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. Because at 22, my story is still being written. And for the first time, I'm not afraid to turn the page.